What up, what up, what up, you guys? It's Blackwing2040. Welcome back to another video. Today is Thursday, so you know what that means? It's time for another Retro Throwback! Today's Retro Throwback is on Nickelodeon. This show's gotta be one of Nickelodeon's... Technically, I guess it's gotta be their second longest Nicktoon ever created. You guys know what it is. It's time to talk about Fairly Oddparents. Now, Fairly Oddparents... It was amazing. It was such an amazing show. It had a big fan base. It had such a big franchise. So came with so many video games, characters, stories, specials. Also gave us one of the most epic TV crossovers in history, the Jimmy Timmy Power Hour. It's just a show like this that lasted this long. For some reason, I feel like Fairly Oddparents was not supposed to last this long. It wasn't. Trust me, it wasn't, because the show did suffer multiple cancellations. Like, not cancellations, but hiatuses. Like, the show was put on a hiatus many times. So, of course, creator Butch Hartman had to, bring more things to the table to keep the show afloat. And granted, some of the new stuff that he brought was good. Some of it was not that great, or not even was a bad idea in general. But I'm going to get to that soon. So basically, the premise of Fairly Oddparents is basically a 10-year-old named Timmy Turner lives with his parents, who pretty much are, I could say, probably the most neglectful parents in history. So because of this, Timmy is given fairy godparents, and fairy godparents named Cosmo and Wanda, and they can grant Timmy any wish to a certain extent, because the reason why I say any wish to a certain extent, because there are certain rules that the fairies have to follow. So, like, let's just say, I wish so-and-so was dead. They can't make that wish. It's very interesting. And of course, Timmy also has to deal with an evil babysitter, sorry. Evil babysitter named Vicky, who pretty much abuses Timmy so much that every time he tries to tell his parents, they don't believe him. So pretty much the purpose of Cosmo and Wanda is to make Timmy's life better, because Timmy's life is already worse as it is. So that's the main premise of the show. And again, this show had so much, literally so much. And sometimes I feel like, with Timmy, he does, show some brains to after, a specific wish that he makes. Like, if in the particular episode Timmy would say, a particular wish, and then he realizes how bad that wish is, he asks Cosmo and Wanda, saying like, I wish everything was back to normal. And poof, everything's back to normal. So the show had a lot of things going for it. It had a lot of specials, had like full-on, longer special episodes like Abracatastrophe, which pretty much shows the origin story of how Timmy got Cosmo and Wanda. You have Channel Chasers, which is my favorite special of all time. It basically shows how Timmy's life would be when he actually grows up, and when he finds out when he grows up, he has to give away his fairies. And it was a beautiful special, because on top of that, he's going through many different, TV channels of cartoons. It's pretty much a parody of the cartoons that we have in real life, and I find that amazing. That's why I love Channel Chasers so much. And you have Fairly Odd Summer, which is basically a summer movie, and it's also a musical. I haven't watched Fairly Odd Summer in a long time, but I still like it. And of course, it has one of my favorite songs in that movie, by the Pixies. It's really great. And man, I haven't even gotten to the characters, because there are so many characters in this show besides Timmy, his parents, Cosmo and Wanda, and Vicky. There's a whole slew of characters. You have Timmy's best friends, Chester and AJ. Sometimes they could be jerks to Timmy, sometimes Timmy could be jerks to them. It's back and forth, but they're still Timmy's best friends. You have Trixie, the pretty girl in school, who's pretty much the eye of Timmy's affection. You have Mr. Denzel Crocker, Timmy's teacher, who's trying to find the existence of fairy godparents. That's Crocker's biggest obsession, and he loves giving kids F's all the time. That's his favorite, except for AJ, because AJ is the smartest kid in the cartoon, so AJ always gets an A. And you also have, man, there's so many characters. You have Francis, the school bully. You have Timmy's superhero friends, like the Crimson Chin, who I always enjoy watching episodes with the Crimson Chin. It's an actual cartoon, a superhero within a cartoon. I mean, he's not real, but come on. The Crimson Chin you gotta love it. Crimson Chin is awesome. And for some reason, I'm just now figuring out that the Crimson Chin was voiced by TV host Jay Leno. Never knew that. At all. But the more you know, right? You learn something new every day. And another superhero favorite that Timmy has is Crash Nebula, who is basically a space hero for Timmy. And there's just so many characters. Like, you have Mark Chang, who's basically an alien who speaks in like surf lingo, and he also has to deal with the troubles of his parents of making him marry a warrior princess from another galaxy. It's just, Fairly Odd Parents is just full of just wacky, so many characters. It's just like different side stories. Whenever Timmy's not dealing with Vicky, he's always having to have some, adventures within the comic book with, the Crimson Chin, or in space with Mark Chang, or it's just so many things. Now, again, earlier I mentioned how sometimes adding things to Fairly Odd Parents can to be really good, or sometimes it could be very bad. For instance, when they bring in Poof, the show, that's what pretty much kept the show Poof up. Kept the show afloat, kept the show afloat. And to be honest, I thought Poof was a nice addition for the show. Give, a fairy god sibling for Timmy. I thought that was pretty cool. And then after that, they decided to give Timmy a pet, a fairy god dog named Sparky. And when I watched that episode, I was like, okay, what is the show doing now? And even before we got Sparky, I forgot to mention about the anti-fairies. The anti-fairies are basically, in their name, anti-fairies. They're evil versions of Cosmo and Wanda. How, the good fairies bring in good magic, the anti-fairies bring in bad magic. And of course you have anti-Cosmo, anti-Wanda. Anti-Cosmo is smart, anti-Wanda is dumb, and they have a child named Foop. It's basically Poof backwards, spelled backwards. And Foop is, instead of, like how Poof acts all baby-like, Foop is very smart. Of course, he gets it from his father. You know what I mean? So, and Sparky, I didn't really care about Sparky either. I really didn't care about him. But the one thing that really drove fans off the wall about Fairly Odd Parents was the final season, where they changed the theme song, and they also brought in a new character called Chloe Carmichael, and Timmy had to share his fairies. Share. You mean to tell me this whole format of the show going from seasons 1 to 9, you gotta bring in this big loop for the final season of the show? To be honest, I think the show was on its last legs at that point. So if you ask me, I don't want to say the show went out with a bang, but it was on its last legs. It was already on its way out the door, so Fairly Odd Parents did what it had to do. And besides that, the show also got 3 live-action movies. It's called, the first one, A Fairly Odd Movie, second one, A Fairly Odd Christmas, and the final film, Fairly Odd Summer. You had Drake Bell portray a live-action version of Timmy Turner, and Daniela Monet from Victorious play a live-action version of Tootie, who is basically Vicky's younger sister, who has a huge crush on Timmy. And I could say, back then I thought those movies were good, but looking at them now, I'm like, yeah, these movies are very, very, very childish. But all I can say is, the earlier seasons of Fairly Odd Parents, they hold up. They really do hold up. One of the best, it's really out there as one of the best Nicktoons ever made. It's just, once you get to, later seasons, don't get me wrong, it gave us the Wishology special, which was also incredible. But again, sometimes when you add things to the show, yes, you have to add some things to keep the show up and everything. Got to keep them ratings going up, but not all the time is going to be that great. So, but anyway, in the comment section below, tell me, what was your favorite memory of Fairly Odd Parents? Who's your favorite character? What was your favorite episode? What was it that you loved so much about Fairly Odd Parents? So let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe, and click that bell to be notified. And as always, I am Vengeance, I'm Darkness, I am Blackwing. Stay golden.